Good day, friends. Thank you for viewing the new podcast, Wounded Hearts, Wounded Churches. We discuss such topics as sexual addiction, religious abuse, and recovery. This live platform offers counseling sessions, meaningful questions and answers, and a counseling continuum. The team includes Personnel Director, Miss Lolita, our Technical Director and Program Director, Mrs. Tennille. Our program contributors include Ray Edward, businessman, Pastor Larry Brown, Dale Rude, the historian, and of course, engineer by trade, Thomas J. Russell, the founder of King Priest Program, which is a 501(c) entity. Also, Tabitha Ward, she's an accountant, holds 2 bachelor's degrees, and is a mom and a wife. And my name is Prince, licensed counselor, founder, Antioch Youth Center, a 501(c) program, retired. Friends, the views and opinions portrayed on this podcast do not reflect always the policies, goals, proclivities of Wounded Heart staff. So some of these discussions are quite sensitive, so it may require on your part some viewer discretion. But I want to be clear, as always, our mantra, our mission statement is one thing: to promote forgiveness, reconciliation, and healing in the Church of God. Not throwing stones or calling names, nothing like that. The exact opposite. We want to reach out in love to produce reconciliation, forgiveness within the Church of God. I want to thank our viewers for listening and viewing the program each week. Thank you for your prayers. Last week was well over 100 viewers. Thank you for that. But we admire greatly your communication, email and letters. And we received 2 recently, and I'll read them, hit the high points. And I'm quoting. The first one was quite short. It says, "Good as usual." You know who you are, so thank you very much. We do appreciate that. The second, a little bit more lengthy. And again, I'm quoting. "I listened to one of your interviews. It was interesting. We trust we can talk and mend some of these breaches men have made. Love looking forward to talking to you." This individual who wrote that in, I have not talked to him in probably 18 years. So for him to reach out like that, we're connecting now, just like old times. Beautiful situation. That's what we're about here: to reconnect, to forgive, reconcile past situations. Beautiful situation. So we want to take time now to introduce our special guest, and I do mean that. First, of course, it's our viewers. You can connect with comments or questions. You can go to YouTube, Church of God in Macon, Georgia, and you'll see the live chat there. We're also on Facebook, also, Wounded Hearts. You can connect with that. We have a PAC program here that our director designed for us on this program, and it's a chat. You can connect with that number on the screen. That's 877-594-2841. It'll display your questions, but will protect your privacy and anonymity. So please feel free to take part in that. And also, Brother Randolph Hunter, Church of God, no stranger. He's been preaching longer than I've been saved, I think. So been around for some years. He's a husband, he's a father. And of course, he was very instrumental, one of the top teachers in New Jersey area for years. And so I'm glad he's here. We learned a lot last week. So we want to continue with that. Brother Randolph, people may want to connect with you about your business, about your ministry. How can they best do that?
Okay, they can connect with me directly to my phone number. My phone number is 917-3306. And I'm on Facebook. They can connect with me also on Facebook. It's just Randolph Hunter, and look it up with the Facebook, and they can connect with me.
Well, I've been going to your Facebook and found some really excellent material. So we do support that very much so. Very good material. Now we have our questions. We had some from last week, If you do have questions about last week's session, please feel free, but get them in early because time goes by so fast on this 26-minute program. Brother Randolph, what would be your message to a young person? He's listening right now. I know he is. He's been hurt, disenfranchised from the church. What would be your message to that person who's listening right now? What would be your advice to them?
Don't give up on God. You know, a lot of times situations come in church and you do get hurt. But God, one thing, God, He's not going to hurt us. He's not going to leave us or forsake us. And then you always would have a good old buddy or somebody that you can rely on, that you can talk to, you know, to help you, because you don't need to be isolated in that situation. You need somebody to encourage you, to inspire you, to help you to get back in this race and run and fight. Matter of fact, you can give me a call at my number and we can talk. 908-917-3306. And so I'm about young people. I love young people.
It's true. You have a history of having a burden for that. Side note, Brother, some people think when you get saved in the church, there'll be no problem. Is that true?
No, that's not true. You're gonna have more. You might have more problems because the devil's gonna try to get. He's gonna try to take you out of the race. So you done got saved. You're living for God. Is a war. As a spiritual warfare. You on the opposite side, and you're not with the enemy no more. The Bible said the devil come to steal and kill and destroy. So look at the elements that he had: steal, kill, and destroy you. But God comes to give you life more abundantly. So there's gonna be problems all the time, you know. So, but thank God, God, through the problems that we have, we can come out on top if we stay with God. And we'll never lose a battle with God because we're on the winning side with God. We ain't gonna lose no battles.
Randolph, what advice would you give to the ministry if we were all listening? Let's say 50 ministers, and we've got about 8 or 9 that are quite committed. What would you say to us tonight?
Well, as ministry, we got to have a serious meeting and get together and try to iron out these situations. Is all of these splits, and we need to come together in unity. You know, is a blessing when we come together in unity, and that's what we need. We need to be unified at this time. And we have to make the move. We have to endeavor to keep the unity. We have to endeavor, whatever it takes. I'm willing to do it, because who suffers? The saints suffer if it's a split with ministers. The saints suffer. So we need to come on, bring this thing back together. It was a blessing, and we need to bring those things together. That's one of the burdens of my heart: the unification of God's people, because it's blessing and it's strength and unity. So we need to get that back. We need to endeavor and do all that we can to get it back.
Well, that's why I asked you. I knew you had a burden to see the church unified and supported. I knew you had a burden for that. Brother Randolph, what is the first step to forgiveness? Let's say you and I have an issue and we break up. What is the first step in getting people or churches or families, because division is division no matter what area it is in, what's the first step that we can take in reuniting or forgiving? What's the first step?
Well, the first step, if me and you have a problem, or I have an art with you, or just a problem, I'm gonna come to you. And we should talk. And as grown men and men, we should be able to work out that problem by just me and you talking. And if it don't work out with that, we can maybe come to another minister and others to help sit down and talk and reason it out. But I believe if you had a problem with me and I had a problem with you, knowing you, I believe we can work it out. And then sometimes it doesn't matter. I can submit to it. I'm sorry. Forgive me of the things that I did. I didn't know I hurt you. You know, so those are the things we got to be forgiven. Like Christ, He forgave us. If He even forgive us, we wouldn't be saved to this day. Nobody would be saved if the spirit of forgiveness are not there.
If a person is deeply wounded, can they be used of God effectively?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Deeply wounded. Paul was going around murdering people and killing people. He was killing people. He was on the wrong side, but he was killing. God, nothing is impossible with God. A lot of times we'll throw people on the dump pile. God will never do that. God always forgive. God, a loving and forgiving spirit. A lot of times you can mess up, you fall. God want to be right there to pick you back up. that story about Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Humpty Dumpty, all the king's horses, all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. That's because he didn't have Jesus Christ to put them together. God to put all your pieces together, and anybody. And a lot of times people say it's too far reach. He's too gone. Not with God. He's not too gone with God. He might be with people, but God is always going to be there for us. The children of Israel, they was messing up, getting saved, messing up, but God didn't give up on them. And that's the blessings of being God, not giving up on us.
Mr. Director, any questions or comments?
Well, Mr. Ricardo Morris commented that forgiveness is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That might be a question, Brother Randolph.
That's my buddy too. We've been talking, Brother Ricky. Now, what was the question?
I think we all know about forgiveness in the home and the church. Why does that seem so difficult to accomplish? Why is it? I mean, it seems almost impossible. Why is that?
Well, it is because people don't want to. I would say is hard. It's even like sometimes when in a marriage, sometimes it was hard for Ben to say, "Honey, I'm sorry." But as we grow in grace and the knowledge of God, we have to do it, and as you practice on doing something like that, it begins to be a blessing. And sometimes God brings things to your memory. You need to go and ask that person to forgive them. I mean, forgive me for what I did. And then sometimes you said, I don't even remember what you did, but God told me to come to you because I felt I hurt you at that time. But it is hard. It's just a hard thing. It could be pride. It could be envy. It could be anything, but it is hard to ask for forgiveness. But as we grow in grace and knowledge of God, as God begin to deal with us, and God let us know, you need to and forgive that person. It's hard to forgive the person. You need to forgive them. A lot of times,
please go ahead. Please go ahead, Brother
times, I've been done wrong, but I went to the person and they didn't come to me, and I still want your friendship. I want your relationship. There's a lady that owes over $12,000 as far as she rented our home to her, and just and almost destroyed the home. And she was close to her. She used to live with us, an elder lady. I reached out to her in Plainfield. I'd rather forget all of those material things, but I want her friendship, and and back, and we have that back. So sometimes you got to go out of ordinary ways to do that at all costs. We're friends again. She's an elder. She's been a blessing to my wife, and they were the cooks and different things. Cooking Thanksgiving, Christmas time, they cook together and just having a loving time.
So endeavoring based on that example might take some time to just keep at it, keep at it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Brother Randolph, is there a link between division and isolation? Can those work together? Division produces isolation, vice versa?
Well, division can produce isolation, because if you're divided and then everybody's separated, sometimes it's just few people, or sometimes it's just one people that get frustrated and they don't want to be a part of anything. So it can create isolation.
Mm-hmm. Is there any biblical examples where people isolated themselves and got by themselves? Is there any Bible on that?
Well, it's dealing with I know Adam and Eve. That they wasn't divided, but she separated from her husband, and the enemy began to attack her, and and her thought pattern was a little. He kept on saying, "You're going to be blessed by if you take this. You'll be as God and different things." And she ended up eating a forbidden fruit. John, he was on the Isle of Patmos. He was isolated, but they isolated to kill. But God used that situation where He began to bless him, revealing the Book of Revelation and other things to him. No.
Pastor, separated for just a moment, Brother Randolph. We'll go into more detail as far as more biblical examples as to how this played out. I think that was such an excellent point that you made with Adam and Eve. I've never noticed that before. Are there any other additional individuals that you can think of biblically that exemplify this separation?
Well, some of the disciples, I forgot as whole, forgot the one, but they separated because he wasn't ready to be used by God. They had a great the disciples had a great division with that, but then later on he was ready. I forgot. I can't recall it, but somebody probably can recall that. But they were divided, and then they came back because he was ready to be used for the ministry of God.
Mhm.
But going back to Eve, it
Okay.
said, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make a help meet for him." And it's not good. And God, in His finite mind, understood that if man is alone, what is he going to do? He don't have nobody there, the animals, the fruits, the vegetable, and he said, "I'm gonna
True.
make a meat." So isolation is really not good, though. One thing about with isolation, the Bible said, "Be sober, be vigilant, because
Right.
your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, he's walking about seeking whom he may devour." He's looking for isolated or weak people. A newborn
Mm.
baby, love to get them, desire the sincere milk of the word where they can grow. He want to get them before they can even grow. And you got
Right.
some people are feeble minded and depressed and have the spirit of accusations and
Right.
different things. So he wants to attack them, and they need to be around somebody that can build them up or bless them or be an inspiration or encouragement to them. It says we ought to bear you that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. And there's a lot of weak, feeble-minded people, and we got to keep building them up. Come on, be encouraged. God is with you. You can make it.
Right.
Just
Right.
pray together. It's a constant thing. Is a young lady in Springfield is constantly, she's under the spirit of accusations and depression at times. Nobody loves me, woe is me. I had problems with my mother. And then Janie, she would send her inspirational thoughts, and I'm there for you. Then I would send her inspirational messages and different things to encourage her. God's going to be with you.
Right.
God is right there with you. You do have friends. Rebuke that spirit. And then she's okay. And then another time is different. And you have a lot of people like that under the spirit of accusations and depression. And then some people get so depressed, they start some suicidal, isolation, cutting themselves.
Right.
Um,
Right.
then you got serial killers that started out with isolation and they end up sex trafficking, body parts, killing people. Um, Devil tell them to go get a sawed-off shotgun, and they start shooting up schools. But what it started with isolation, they by themselves. They've been abused and used by their parents and different things. Uncle messed around, had sex
Wow.
with them. Dad had sex with them and didn't say anything about it. The mom didn't believe the daughter or the son. It's also sons happening too, and they isolated. They have all of that anger within them. They don't know. Some don't know
Mm.
anything about Jesus Christ
Right.
and His healing, and some even in the church been hurt like that. And it takes it is a deep wound, but it takes God. Only God can really heal that, and
True.
in
Right.
time.
Right.
In time.
It's going to take God to do that. That's
Yes,
true.
yes,
That's
yes.
true.
And
So it
even
appears that
isolation.
you're,
Right.
sorry, I was just going to point out that you appear to be more vulnerable when you're
Yes.
isolated,
Thank you.
obviously. You're
Yes.
more vulnerable.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
strength and safety in numbers.
Yes.
And when you're
Yes.
isolated, obviously you put yourself out there to get hurt in most
Right.
cases.
Yes.
Good point.
Two people are better than one. Is a
It's
Right.
saying.
true.
A person alone can be attacked and defeated, but two people standing together back to back, they have a far more chance to conquer that situation. They're back to back because they can see everything, the enemies, all the angles, because they're back to back. I remember in a basketball game in high school, we played Elizabeth. That's an arch-time rivalry, and we was on probation for fighting different schools. And one of our players went and punched one of the players, and
Mm.
the
Wow.
face guy got out. And our coach said, "Make a circle, make a circle. If they come into the circle, then you have to defend yourself." And
Mm.
sometimes we as saints, the enemy coming against us, we got to make a circle. And the thing is, God is handling the circle. God is blessing us through the circle. He's the one that's fighting the battle in that circle.
Mr. Director, we have a question.
Well, Mr. Ricky had a comment. He said, "We are quickened together, raised up together, and made to
Yes,
sit together.
yes,
So division or isolation is never good."
yes, it's not.
And they do, unfortunately, they do connect. You have seen this, and of course, Ricky given some information on that, and that's key because I think division weakens the church. Uh, Divorce weakens a home.
Yes,
Brother, yes, sir, Brother Randolph, go right ahead, please.
yes, no, I'm disagreeing with your comment. It is isolation and division because you're isolated from the people of God. Um, I went over and went to Springfield, and when I seen the saints, it was the love. And Janie had a little party at her house, and all of the saints from different churches, they were there, and we kept hugging. Brother Randolph, how you doing? Hey, brother, what's the name? And then other brother, Sister Janie's brother, we just kept talking and kept hugging. Brother Robinson, we hugged about 3 or 4 different times. Man, give me
Mm-hmm.
another hug. We were so glad to see each other because we haven't seen each other because of division and isolation.
Right,
So
right.
they do work together.
Friends, we're out of time. These 26 minutes goes by so very quickly, but we do want to remind you about our future program next week. We're going to shift a bit and work with our families, couples, the marriage issue, and how division can work if we're not careful. So we're going to have Sandra Cabin. She went to Ohio State University, studied e-commerce. She's a wife and a mom. We're going to explore this idea of division and how it works in the family and how to guard against it. So be with us next week. And again, friends, this program is by Church of God for Church of God. Many have been affected, different levels in division, in church splits, and we want to try to connect those dots in 3 areas: forgiveness, healing, reconciliation. And we can all do our part to put that together. Brother Randolph, we're going to have you back as soon as possible. Enjoyed you so much. Our Wounded Heart staff, our director, our other support staff, thank you so much. And our viewers, thank you for your letters and for your input. We need you. We need each other. May the Lord bless you. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.